What's good, fam? Welcome to Subs Over Dubs Anime Podcast. Today we're going to be doing the anime review of Vinland Saga. My name is Vision,
It's Rebel.
and today, break it down. So,
First three episodes, right?
first three episodes, 1 through 3. So, we swapped over to Vinland Saga. It's a good show. I wanted to do the show initially, but Nier Automata had its own perks and reasons for us picking up. But since they had the COVID situation, or swinging it back to Vinland Saga, I'm probably doing we should have done the very first time. So
It's true.
let's.
Actually, I read another article about Nier Automata. So we thought it was gonna be just a few weeks, but I think they're scrapping it like indefinitely. So they don't know, they don't have a timetable of when it's gonna come back. So that's one of those things that kind of sucked because I think that it started off at a high note and it was cool. But I mean, obviously, Vinland Saga is a great series. I had just finished wrapping up season one maybe about a month ago, so I was a little behind. But luckily I was able to finish for season two, and we can at least kick it off, and y'all have 6 months worth of content for Vinland Saga.
And you know what's crazy? You mentioned that. What I immediately think, I was used to this happening with like your One Piece, your Bleach, your Naruto's, because back in the day there were week-to-week animes.
Mm-hmm.
If this is getting scrapped, potentially scrapped, that means they're doing it week by week as well. It's not like they had everything created
And ready to go.
and they're just dropping it week by week. They're doing it week to week, or maybe they're a week ahead, because I think episode 4, it could have been just a trailer though, but there's some scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of crazy to think that some shows, even though they're not like year round, but when they're during their season or their airing, they're going week to week. So it's pretty interesting to know
crazy. That takes a lot of like manpower, like when I first was like wanting to do like movies and TV shows, I wanted to do that, and even like write shows. They're like, a lot of the times like they're still working while they're creating those things, and I'm like, bro, I thought you finish the whole series and then drop it 6 months later, like with music. Like for me, when I used to make music, I'd make a whole album, sit on it for 3 to 6 months, and then drop it. So you're thinking like, hey, this is the fruits of my labor, but they're still working as it's going. And it's like, what if someone gets sick? What if there's so many things that can happen in life. So it's pretty like almost risky, I guess you could say, when
Yeah.
you do it in that aspect.
things can happen. Just like the COVID is shutting their production down, which
I thought
is
we were done with that, so that kind of sucks. Where we thought we're in that aspect of like, obviously it's gonna have ripple effects, but there's still places that are still getting COVID and having to do that. So
getting affected.
hopefully that goes by soon, and all the people that are affected by that will definitely get over that and healthy afterwards.
Yeah, and hopefully they don't scrap it. I wanted to see what it was going to turn out to, and then we were left at a pretty steep cliffhanger.
For sure.
So yeah, but let's get into Vinland Saga. So episode 1, immediately we're thrown into the eyes of Einar.
Einar.
Einar. I keep saying a D at the end. It's not a D, right?
No, yeah, it's just like EINAR. Einar.
Einar. I was lost. Like I said in the podcast, I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, I remember watching the season 1, but I don't remember what the hell. Like, what the fuck?
I was like, this is not my Vinland Saga.
I was like, yo, what is going on here?
What's crazy is like I rewatched when I watched episode 1, I went back and watched the last episode of season 1, and I was like, did I miss like what? I'm missing
Did I
something.
skip
Like,
an
I don't even know
episode?
who this guy is. But then like obviously as you continue watching it and you kind of start seeing like it's his perspective of like
What's
they got
going on
pillaged
in
once, they got pillaged twice, and then that second time is where he had that destined almost meet with Thorfinn. But, I was like, this is not how did we go from like a masterpiece to like I don't even know what's going on, which is cool because at the end you get to see Thorfinn, and he looks older but he looks cool, man. He looks like he's lived a life,
He looks
two
like a
lifetimes.
shell.
Yeah,
He's empty
he
inside.
looks like he's lived 2 or 3 lives, man, and almost emotionless.
So going back to Einar, man, I don't know how old. Did they ever mention how old he was in his beginning sequence?
I don't know,
Not really.
man, because like he had I can never tell because of like the way that they're drawn, but then like also the way that they act. He had to have been like,
You would think early to mid 20s.
yeah, like 20, 21, 22. You know, like obviously he's now the head of his household and things like that. And his sister looked 17, 18. So, you know, that's why I put him in my mind was like early 20s. Yeah.
Man, I get it. Like if I think about being in his shoes, he's not one. He didn't have a father figure because he got murdered, right? When they got attacked the first time. He still had other guys around the village, but I guess he had no one directly to look up to because I can understand you not having that presence can kind of change you. But man, off rip for him being as big as he is, and I would say pretty muscular for his size, man, he just I guess. But when it gets real, you know,
but I guess
fight or flight.
That's the difference between like I guess warriors and like the farmers is like he's built because you know he's always used his hands. He's had to like you know chop wood down for winter and things like that. But so I thought you know I'm like oh he's gonna rage and he's gonna like
go berserk.
But then like
he just broke down.
He just got he broke down and then you know,
he said ma. Just
basically now that my man's a slave. That's crazy to me. But it's what he went through in one episode that I like that because it puts perspective of like how that's gonna affect him going forward. And that man went through a lot, like 2 pillages.
Yep.
Your mom killed, your sister killed.
Whole family basically was.
Yeah,
killed.
and then you know, then you're a slave, so it's like, man, and then it makes you wonder like how all those other slaves got into those positions too, like because they were free, they were you know enjoying their lives, and
they're just rated like everyone else, and it's crazy how you can go from being in that environment, right? In this show, a free person, your house gets attacked, you get abducted, I guess we can get, or captured, and then you can be sold as a slave.
Yeah, that's wild to me, man.
Well,
like,
I guess they did at least take them overseas, so they're, I guess
they're in a foreign land
exactly.
now.
So
still, I'm like, my man was just living his life. They were like low middle class, you know, just enjoying everything. They had their little village, but
hey, and that whole village was low class.
Yeah.
The only status was village elder.
Oh yeah, you know, but that's what I mean. Like, you know, when you compare other villages in the Vinland universe,
there were some more established.
Yeah, you know, it was small, but it was like a quaint thing. They had everything they needed. Their houses looked pretty nice, and then it's just like, psych.
Everything but a defense.
For real, they needed some warriors out here.
So, gets captured, tries to run away. They basically break him to the point of like, hey man, you ain't going nowhere. You're gonna be an example for everyone else who thinks they can be free.
That was wild.
So, they broke him. I don't know how much of the time skip happened right there between them getting there, them trying to escape, and them beating him pretty severely. But the next thing you see him, he's kind of he's lost. He's standing in line with the other slaves, and you have
at auction, right?
He's at auction up for sale, and then you see, I believe that's Thorfinn's uncle, or
that's Leif. Yeah, Leif.
Is that his?
That's that old man from the village. He's been chasing him, and at the end of season 1, he's like,
I thought because he didn't want him to go the first time, right? And then he snuck on the boat, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or no?
Yeah. So he snuck on his dad's boat.
Yeah, but was he with his dad, Leif, or no? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
No. Well, kind of together. Leif was in his own boat, and then the dad was the next door. So they were like sailing together. Leif was supposed to be meeting up with he was basically gonna be the spokesperson for Iceland, and then Thor's was gonna go and basically go to war with them and things like that. So they were traveling together. They were supposed to split off, but then once all that happens, Leif obviously loses Thorfinn, and then towards the end of season 1, he reunites with them after Ashley dies. He's like, come back with me. You don't have to fight anymore. What are we fighting for? Just come back to Iceland, and then we can find Vinland together. And then he's on the boat with him, and then he turns his back, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
So then that's where we kind of don't know what happened. To me, I don't really remember what happened to Thorfinn, and I just recently watched it, so he's kind of disappeared.
It's probably, and it kind of makes sense because there's that gap for me too, and I know I've it's been longer since I've seen it since you have, but I was like, again, going back to episode 1, I'm like, man, what the hell is going on? But I think we're gonna get that later on. We're
Like a
gonna something
flashback of
happened
How that?
because
It made it seem like he left of his own volition, but maybe
yeah.
they knocked him out and took him or something.
And when we get to episode 3 in a little bit, he kind of mentions some things that I think we can kind of tie
Start
into.
piecing together.
Yeah. So then we get to at the end of episode 1, all that happens. He's broken. He finally gets bought. I guess the guy can, see a good body when he's like, you got some good
Yeah, he's
hands
like,
on
what you do before? I'm a farmer.
Let me see your teeth.
That's what I need.
Let's see how old you are. And then, he gets brought on to the plantation.
Yeah, the master's name is, I'm obviously not pronouncing it right, but Kettle, Ketil, Kettle
Kato?
or Kato.
I don't know. It's all right. Well,
I'm American. Whatever.
The headmaster, man.
The
Jesus.
master. Yes, sir.
Goes and brings him. He's like, welcome to my farm. And he's kind of amazed. He's like, he's a farmer himself. He's like, this is nice. Looks nice. And then you're immediately introduced Einar into Thorfinn. And then we got end cut in episode 1. So, right there I was like, man. I woke up, I was like, okay, we see our guy now.
That's where I was like, okay, now it's starting to make sense. I thought that they had changed like main characters for a second. So all of season 1, I'm like, okay, is Thorfinn's is his series done? Like, hey, his goal was
journey.
to crash, let it die. That happened, even though they don't. That's it, so we're getting a new character. And then I was like, yes. I was like, I didn't like this guy. Like, I don't like Einar, bro.
Yeah, he's definitely built Charmin for now. So
Yes, sir.
he's gonna go through the trials and tribulations probably like Thorfinn did, but he was a lot younger though. That's the biggest difference. So, and I think that contributes to why we see him now. We don't know what happened exactly. We know some of the trauma, obviously, but what caused him to be this broken to the point where he became a slave and he's chopping wood now.
Yeah, man.
So we get into episode 2. It picks up right back there. Einar's trying to. And you know what's funny though? Before Einar was bought, we see Leif talk to Einar because he's like, "You're not Thorfinn," and I don't know how he forgot about that situation because he heard the name and then he hears the name again. And that's very unique. Like Thorfinn, like
Yeah.
I get it. Like you're over there, that might be more common, but to me that stands out a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, he even described him. He's like, this guy's the opposite. I was looking for someone like
With blonde
this
hair.
tall, blonde hair, and it's like, that's wild. I wonder if he knows and he's just not saying anything, or if it's something that he's gonna be like, oh, I forgot this guy was looking for you. But
I think he is an honest mistake. He doesn't remember because Einar's for the most part. He's on the moral scale on the better good side,
yeah,
So I don't think that he's intentionally not like,
It was
hey,
probably just
someone
still
was
kinda
looking for you.
yeah, he was probably more like, oh, this is where I'm living now. This is my situation.
Yeah,
in my
his whole life has changed.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's
It's
fair. an
reason.
honest
It's
mistake.
it's reasonable to the most. I just feel
Sure.
like Thorfinn, like you hear that again.
And
Was
then
that
maybe like a day later
It was. I was about to say, was it even? Well, they traveled on a boat, so we can guess that they took
Yeah,
a few
we can guess
some
maybe
time,
a little bit.
it's a little time travel in between, but still like that. Well, it is what it is. So episode 2, Thorfinn and Einar is trying to get together. Hey, what do I need to do? And he's like, hey, just watch me. And Einar is off rip asking questions. Hey, who are you? Thorfinn's obviously like a shell, giving him the cold shoulder, like I'm just here so I don't get fined.
I'm just vibing.
And slower. Once the headmaster explained to Einar that basically, hey, you work, you clear these fields, and you buy your freedom back. So he's ready. He's like, say less. I can be free again. And he's asking Thorfinn, what do we gotta do? We gotta clear this forest. What part?
See this river? This whole side.
This whole side.
Bet how much we got left.
Pan the zoom.
It's like a little speck of the whole thing.
He's like, this whole side of the river.
Sheesh.
So he's like, shit, fuck it, let's get to work.
Yes, sir.
And then he's asking all these different questions. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we making it easier and chopping the trees in little blocks and then putting them downstream? He's like, hey, we can't touch our master's property.
Hey, man, that's how the master wants it. That's how the master's gonna get it. Pause.
So even though they're in a Einar and Thorfinn's in a tough situation, Einar's looking at it like, look, the faster I get this done, the faster I get to my freedom. And I got a guy who's willing to give my freedom back after being put in this terrible situation. And he's having all these thoughts like he himself has been broken as well. And it gave him, I guess, that glimmer of hope that basically he can get some type of normalcy back to his life. So I can understand the motivation. Whereas Thorfinn, he's just here so he don't get fined.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of those things that I don't understand. Like, did he willingly become a slave? And he's like, all I gotta do is chop down some trees and I get to eat and sleep. Like, say less, you know? Is he so tired of like fighting and war that he just chose to do that, or is he just like going with the flow? So that's one of those things that I'm still wondering. But obviously, you know, I'm hoping that he gets kind of his
mojo back.
His mojo back in his arms. So I want to see him go off, man. I want to see. I want to see Thorfinn go off.
He was a young warrior, and so we got a totally different contrast of what we seen in the first season with Thorfinn. He went from a young kid to a young man very fast, and to this point, you know, he's probably early 20s as well, mid maybe, or maybe still early teens. And you know, who knows? I don't know his exact age.
What I'm excited for is like, you know how when he in season 1 he was like such a hothead, and you know when Ashley was giving him that advice. Now to me, he looks the way that he's like calm and collected. He reminds me of Ashley. So I'm like, I wonder if that's what he needed to like go to that next level, to where he's like, you know, I'm able to analyze things without emotion. I'm able to. So
I think he's even beyond that, bro. I think he's just completely broken, bro. He's got no motivation. And
but if he keeps that like,
if you can mix that,
because it's like he was too hot headed. He came in quick. He wasn't, you know, thinking. And if he kind of uses that like, I don't really care, but then something gets him to fight, man, he's gonna be OP.
We'll see. Hopefully, we talked off air, it gets sooner than later. But episode 2 kind of showcases their situation. You know, Einar's even happy that, hey, we get a free meal. We get fed at lunchtime. And here comes the free men working on the plantation, bringing their lunch, and it's literally
those guys, man.
One block of cheese and a small roll that's been taken a bite out of. And he's like, "This is it
for 2 people."
He'd be like, he's like, yeah, be happy getting this, slave. Like, it's
wild.
It's tough scenes out there.
Yeah, that was wild, man. I was like, this was too good to be true, I guess. But you know,
here's the thing, though. We're gonna get super realistic for a second. I understand that they're doing physical labor, like cutting logs and moving log, like that's obviously full intensity. But I don't feel like there's any way he can keep Thorfinn is pretty small, but he's a little bit more muscular than I think last time we've seen him. Him to keep his muscle tone, because I mean that's all he ate for God knows how long he's been as a slave. Like, I feel like his body would have like kind of failed him.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that didn't make sense either. I'm like, if you want slaves and you want them to do all this work for you, you feed them up so they have the energy and the strength to like keep doing that. So I don't know, but maybe you know it was just them. Like maybe somebody else usually brings the food, but a lot of speculation, a lot of things we don't know. So I'm hoping,
see more information.
Maybe the girls normally bring the food, you know, but this time they're like, we got it, bro, and they ate everything in the bag, you know.
Imagine.
Well, we got you, bro. Say less.
So kind of end scene there. You see Einar getting kind of upset of how they're being treated. They're sitting there struggling. They got the horse, and they're strong as hell. Even with that, I don't know if it was a horse or a donkey. For them it was a horse, if I'm not mistaken. Old horse. Carry a full tree. That was a pretty big tree. And the other part that kind of tripped me out, pick it up so it's over the root. I would have been like, hell no, let's roll it this way one time, and it's full. Like, let's work smart and harder. It couldn't be me out there working.
Yeah, man, I would have chopped them up regardless.
I feel like, fuck it, man.
Or yeah,
so
I don't care about the masses. I don't care.
You said take down the trees. I'm taking them down.
Sir, you tell me who, how, where, when, why.
So that kind of is the major parts of episode 2. Then we get to 3, and we see the young master, the headmaster, the plantation owner's son trying to find himself. So he instinctively knows that no one respects him. You're just your dad's. You're the dad's son, right?
Your dad's
you haven't
success.
earned anything.
Yeah.
And he's on his, journey to become a man and be respected, and all he can think about is what I guess he heard or he thinks he knows is, I have a sword, I need to go to war. I need to be my rite of passage. Let me be respected. And he's into a point where he's mad at everybody, and he gets the headmaster's, the plantation owner's bodyguards
Yeah, they're
drinking.
called guests.
Yes. Bring him out to go drink, and eventually they get him drunk and basically
Convince this man.
peer pressure him to like, hey, I know exactly what you
Wanna be
need.
a man, I got you.
Say less. We're gonna have you kill somebody, and he's like, hold on.
He said, hey, yo.
I was like, I don't know about this. Who am I gonna kill? And he's like, we have the perfect people for you.
We are allowed to kill.
Enter Thorfinn and Einar
As
as
just sleeping in a bundle of hay, bro.
slaves 1 and 2. So, we see Thorfinn wake up to a bad nightmare, bad, dream, whatever. And I think we're gonna come back to that. I think that's gonna be a recurring thing. He's got some type of PTSD of something that happened between end of season 1 and 2 that we'll kind of figure out what that's about. And his memory loss, because he said and I think that's another reason why you don't see him doing some of the things he does, is because he lost a lot of memories. So
Did he state that?
yeah, he says, I can't remember in 3. So he wakes
I
up.
thought he was saying he couldn't remember the dream.
Yes, but I'm saying in general,
like,
memory
you're
loss.
saying, like,
So like,
I see what
how
you're saying.
far does that go? Like, is it just the fact that it's a dream, or how much of himself has he forgotten?
Interesting.
So I think
now it makes me wonder how long he's been a slave.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so that does rise, like, a lot of questions arise from that. That's cool.
Because for both of us, it doesn't make sense. You go from a very strong young warrior to a mindless slave, a skilled mindless slave, but mindless. So definitely has some type of trauma or memory loss where he doesn't remember or chooses not to remember himself, because he even says it. I feel like I have this uneasy feeling I'm forgetting something that I'm supposed to know.
Jeez.
So I think whenever that clicks, we're going to be shown what happened to get to this point. I think that's going to be very interesting to get that breakdown.
Interesting. I didn't think about that, man. That's crazy. That's
So, now let's get back to Warrior, my Warrior
My man can
Academia,
barely
apparently.
Yeah, my man can barely lift this sword up.
So they have Thorfinn and Einar come straight from throwing water on their face to walking all the way to the guest house, I guess we can call it. And immediately you have, I believe it's Fox, and I forgot the other guy's name, the bodyguard, or the guest that convinced the young master to essentially kill Thorfinn and Einar. And immediately Einar's like, what's going on? What did we do to deserve this? Oh, don't worry, you get the honor of being slain by the headmaster's son.
Omar.
Omar?
Olmar, yeah.
Olimar. Olimar. And on his rite of passage of becoming a man. He's
Congratulations.
like, congratulations, man. And he was like, fuck that. What did we deserve to get this treatment? And Einar, he being the good guy he is, he's like, fuck it. I'm gonna stop this, or I'm gonna give you time.
He said, my boy,
Thorfinn,
He said, my boy,
run.
I got you.
I got you.
He
And
turns back. He's like, I did a good. What is you still doing here, my boy?
man who did ask questions, what are you doing? And Thorfinn's just like, and as if someone just has to die, he can kill me, let him go back to his work. He's been working hard.
Thorfinn is
He said, and I think he said I don't know if he said necessarily we had a hard day, but we have an early day.
We got a lot of stuff
We
going
got
on
a lot
back here,
of
bro. If you need to kill somebody, or you need to cut somebody, I got you, bro. Makes you feel like a man.
And Fox, and I feel like in this animation, I don't know if they're trying to portray him. He looks a little bit more Asian, because they keep his eyes closed a lot in the episode. He opens them obviously, but he has like that rock
Interesting.
look going.
I did notice that. I just didn't.
I don't know if he's necessarily Asian. It's just something that came to mind. But he's intrigued to hear why Thorfinn, to them, death is their payment. I don't know if it's payment or resource. I don't know what they called it exactly. But the guess, like, death is a serious object to them, I guess we could say, and they're like, you giving up your life is not like, this isn't all fun and games. So let me show you fear.
Yeah.
And then he gets to slash in Thorfinn, and Thorfinn, this is like, that's what happens when you're, got all that trauma from a young age and been through so many battles and battle tests. And this is where I'm kind of confused. I don't know if he's purposely blocking what's happened previous in his life, because no normal person is just gonna stand there against that. He didn't move.
There's no emotion to that. That was crazy. That's why I guess it didn't dawn on me about the like, has he forgotten himself, lost memory? Because then like he starts talking about like, why should I be afraid of death? Why should I, what is war and what does it mean for you to?
What does it mean to live and stuff?
Yeah, things like that. So that's what made me think like maybe he does remember. He's just like numb to it all. Like
it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, like I don't care.
I've been
like,
to the world. And he said so. I guess he does know something, because I remember him saying that all I've known is despair and sorrow my whole life. So what is there to look forward to? So
like, why should I live?
Yeah, I think he's just, and that brings us full circle. I think he's just severely broken.
That's sad, man.
What the memory at this point, what he's missing is still probably important, but I think he still remembers all the pain and sorrow, and that's why he's just a shell now. And it got to the point where he even sliced a piece of his ear off and chilling, just ate it. And so he probably is freaking out while the people around, because like, what sane person just gets sliced up and eats all of it, doesn't even move? Who gets a piece of the ear cut off and they just
I would have been crying after the first slice. Wow.
Like,
all right, Massa, you got me.
I would have hit the Stewie on him, or the Peter Griffin. But yeah, then we have, what's his name? The captain of the guest.
Oh, Snake.
Snake, that's right. Snake pulls up on the scene and he's kind of like checking out what's going on. He's just like, I guess he has a better moral compass of right and wrong, and tells Fox, come here real quick, hold this Falcon punch. And yeah, and that's kind of end of episode. And then we see in the I don't know if you've seen the end credits to see a little bit of episode 4. We see him and Thorfinn fighting. So, I think we'll unravel a little bit more of what is going on with Thorfinn. At least we'll get to see him fighting.
Yeah. Funny story. I don't ever watch like those end credits because I don't want to know.
You don't care?
Yeah, like I don't want to know what happens, because then I'm like, I'm either gonna get too excited or be like, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have seen that. Because I always put like fight scenes or something good, so I try not to watch the end credits just so that I don't get spoiled, I guess you could say. But all in all, the first 3 episodes, man, started off a little slow, but very informative. Still slow, but where it's informative, and you can start to see the buildup of, like you said, towards the end credit scenes, we're gonna see Thorfinn do his thing, work this man Snake.
Well, I don't know about all that. They ain't show all that.
You know who it is.
Hey, listen, there's power levels. There's levels to this.
Thorfinn.
So, and you want to hear something bad necessarily? It could be a misdirection. I do this sometimes when I'm very happy about the episode. I read the comments of Crunchyroll, right? Not necessarily a spoiler, but a lot of people are saying, "Oh, you like this farm Thorfinn development?" Because a lot of people like this like different outlook and just seeing them broken and stuff. This character development, if you may. They're like, we got a whole season of this. So I don't know if it's like the first 12 episodes or the back half or the whole thing, but yeah, well, hopefully with this
all farm scene is what you're saying.
Hey man,
I don't know. Spoilers at the top.
We'll see.
I don't know.
I'm just saying some comments, some misdirection might be happening, because the next episode looks like he's kind of breaking out of the show. So we'll see. Depending how it goes, I don't mind the slow pace as long as it's entertaining and it's revealing. But it's just dry.
One of those things that like maybe season 2 is just a setup for season 3, kind of like how Attack on Titan did 1 and 2.
I hope not.
I mean,
I don't know. Wait. No, let's not talk about Attack on Titan. That has so much foreshadowing. You didn't finish it, so you don't even know.
This could be the same thing.
I don't think it.
There's
I don't think
always
it's a slow
an action season and then a setup for the next action. So same with My Hero. My Hero was, setup, action, setup, action, setup, action.
I don't think
it's an algorithm.
I don't think it's gonna be a season of it. I hope it isn't, but if it is,
maybe not for 24 episodes.
No, 12.
If it's like 12, yeah, sometimes they
even
do that.
then, that's a
lot of
that's
setup.
a lot of setup.
A lot of
and
what's it called, dialogue.
There's a lot
of dialogue.
And there's more pod
They
when we
talking more
need.
than us out here, bro.
But yeah, looking forward
Still
to the
good.
next episode. I think at least we get some actions from
For
Thorfinn.
sure.
That's what I'm looking forward to. And we don't know how old he is, but see that aged combat skills come to life. But that's gonna be a wrap for this one, guys. Thank you so much. Again, if you haven't seen it already, I'll throw another screen. We got the merch going. If you guys like it, let us know in the comments. Any ideas, let us know in the comments. And yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up.
We out, baby.
Yo, what the? Yo,
Let's close it out.
appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let us know in the comments. Is it subs or is it dubs? I'm Vision.
I'm Rebel.
And we're out.
Peace.